Let's get back to that breaking news at the Orange County Courthouse. Thousands of people, they want to be heard, demanding that someone consider paid sick time so they can support their families. Fox 35's Shannon Butler live downtown. Shannon, these folks who want that sick time, they played by the political rules. Really, they did. They got enough signatures on a petition. The judge says, yeah, that's fine. So why, maybe, won't this be on the ballot come November?
The issue was that the county had 20 days to respond to the allegations made against them by those ballot backers, and they weren't going to do that. Obviously, today they had a county commission meeting. So what happened is the backers actually filed an emergency motion asking for the courts to intervene once again. Now, all day today, this is what both sides have been waiting for, to see if a judge would step up and try to hear both sides of this case. Now, as you know, these backers say this needs to be on the ballot. The county commission voted against it because they wanted to look at some language. So today, that means this final decision could be the last we hear of that, at least for now.
Sears warned that businesses would...
Those who backed the sick time initiative wore black and laid flowers at the county commission to symbolize the death of democracy.
Clearly, this commission has thumbed its nose at the people of Orange County.
Ballot backers say 50,000 people said they wanted the issue to go to vote, and just 4 people are trying to stop that from happening. That, they say, is not America.
We should not believe in democracy because every time we stand up to speak, you will stand in the way to shut us up. We are sick of it.
This time, the mayor was in a strange predicament, left to explain to the public how the issue was kept from the ballot after all those signatures were signed.
I think there seems to be a great deal of confusion.
Teresa Jacobs' stance, that initiative should go on the ballot, but she did believe that the language just wasn't right and says it was up to the court, not the county, to make that decision. She said it came to a 4-3 vote, and she has to live with that decision.
If I thought it was a slap in the face to democracy, I'd be more outraged than I am.
Do you worry about the image of this commission now?
Of course.
Because it looks like you guys...
Yeah. Honestly, I think that in the coming weeks, that the burden is on the whole board, but especially on me, to explain to the public why the board did what it did.
Now, I did meet with Bill Cowles, the supervisor of elections, about 2 hours ago. He was waiting to see if the courts would intervene today. He has to have an answer, which both sides know, today. That's because he has to go ahead, starting tomorrow, to print the ballot if he needs to. All other ballots are printed. He is just waiting to see if he needs to print those. Now, the other thing that could happen, if a judge doesn't decide, a special election could be called. The county would have to make that decision, but the figure on that is $1.2 million. Then the county commission will not only have to answer to voters, but also to those taxpayers. Bob.
We're talking with Scott Maxwell about this. Scott, in the last few days you've had in your column, you're talking less about the sick pay initiative and more about the commission's handling of it. Take me down that road again. It seems like this is going to be a political albatross around their neck for a while to come.
Absolutely, and that's sort of, I think, the contention that I'm starting to realize, and frankly, I think they need to realize as well. I've never really weighed personally that much into the sick time initiative itself, and that's because it's not on the ball yet. I think a lot of people say you can argue yes or no, on both sides of that. The issue now is whether this issue deserves to be on the ballot, and I think what struck me is that the commissioners, they seem to, while they may have won the battle, I think they're going to lose the war, because while they may have sort of used some high-minded legal maneuvering to keep it off this November's ballot, what they really did was buy themselves maybe as long as 2 years worth of stories where they have to go around the community explaining now why is it again that you didn't want me to vote on an issue? And that's not a good story to have to tell.
Yeah, it's like 50,000 people put their names on this petition, put it on the ballot, and the argument that it's confusingly worded. The number of times I've gone into a voting booth and I needed the Rosetta Stone to figure out what in the world this ballot meant that I was voting for, I don't know that argument holds up.
I think you just hit on a great point. In fact, Bob, just today, I started going back and looking at some of the amendments we've done in the state ballot, for instance. Everything from pregnant pigs to trains to, these are not clear things. And one can make an argument they should be more clear in general, but this is an age-old thing of people getting sort of ballot language that isn't delivered in really layman's terms. But the question, there doesn't seem to be any debate that these folks did what they were expected to do. They played by the rules. They got 50,000 people to sign, and it deserves to go on the ballot. And the commission's just sort of saying, well, we'll do it when we good and well feel like it, even though they defied the advice of their own county attorney, who during their meeting said, I don't think you have the ability to do what you're about to do. Now, this is the story they're left talking about for the next year or two.
And it looks like they've given you plenty to write about over the next year or two. Scott Maxwell, look forward to reading more of it and taking names there at the Sentinel. Thank you, sir.